Join me as I dive deep into the scriptures to figure out what the Bible really says about God. Can I uncover the truth? We often think we know what God is like, but the truth is, there are so many different perceptions of God out there, and it can get really confusing. That's why I want to explore what the Bible truly says about him, and I invite you to come along with me on this journey. Misconceptions about God can be really damaging, because when we think we know who God is, but we're actually wrong, it can lead to confusion, frustration, and even a lack of faith. I mean, if we think God is just a big mean guy in the sky who's waiting to punish us, we might be like, why bother with him? But if we think God is just a nice, gentle grandfather who lets us do whatever we want, we might be like, why does it even matter what I do? When we have these misconceptions, we can miss out on the beauty and the wonder of who God really is. And even worse, we can misrepresent him to others, which can be really damaging. I've seen so many people push away from Christianity because they thought God was this or that, when in reality, God is so much more. I think it's really important to clear up these misconceptions, because when we get to know the real God, it can change everything. Our faith can go from being just a bunch of rules and regulations to a living, breathing relationship with the Creator of the universe. Let's take a look at some key biblical passages that reveal God's nature. One of the most well-known passages is probably John 3 verse 16, which says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life." This verse shows us that God is a God of love, who wants to have a relationship with us. But what about justice? Doesn't the Bible also say that God is just and will punish sin? Yes, it does. In Isaiah 61, it says, "For the Lord is a God of justice, and those who wait for him will be blessed." So, how do we reconcile these two seemingly opposing ideas? The thing is, God's justice and God's love are not mutually exclusive. In fact, they're intimately connected. In Psalm 139, it says, "You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise, you perceive my thoughts from afar." This passage shows us that God is omnipotent, that he knows everything about us, and that is always with us. But what about when bad things happen? Does that mean God is not all-powerful or all-knowing? No, it doesn't. The Bible teaches us that God is sovereign, that he's in control even when we can't understand what's going on. One of the most impactful verses for me is Romans 8 verse 28, which says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." This verse shows us that no matter what's going on in our lives, God is always working for our good. This verse has been a game changer for me, because it means that even in the darkest of times, there's always hope. It means that God is always with me, always working on my behalf. In contrast to popular beliefs, God is not just some distant force who created the universe and then left it to its own devices. No, God is a personal God who cares deeply about each and every one of us. Let's recap what we've discussed today. We've seen that misconceptions about God can lead to confusion and a lack of understanding, but by looking at key biblical passages, we can get a better understanding of who God really is. We've seen that God is a God of love, justice, and omnipotence, and that he's always working for our good. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the scriptures to uncover the truth about God. What are your thoughts on this topic? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're new here, consider subscribing for more videos on faith and spirituality.